Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to be cooking an authentic Bolognese. So let's get right to it. First things first, the ingredients. So we got some onion here, we got some celery, we got some carrots all chopped up. We're going to be using San Marzano Italian tomatoes, Italian passata. We're going to have ground pork, ground veal, and ground beef, and add a little bit of tomato paste. We cannot forget the red wine. You can drink a little bit of it while you're cooking, and you put a little bit in your food, you might have a bit of a good night. Now, first things first, we gotta get some olive oil down on the bottom, okay? Now we're gonna drop in 2 chopped up onions. Now, just so you know, I'm making a lot of this because I'm gonna put some away in the freezer and use later. So all the amounts I'm doing, cut it in half if you're just serving, you know, four or five people or so. All right, so saute the onions around for a few minutes until they get a little translucent. Next thing, we're gonna go in with the carrots and celery on this gigantic ass cutting board that I got. So what this is what's called the Sofrito. So we're gonna put those in, we're gonna cook these on about medium heat for about 7 minutes. Oh my God, the smell of these. The smell is amazing. Okay, so the next thing, now that the carrots and celery and onions have kind of cooked a little bit, we're going to be adding red wine. But I'm doing a full cup. And what I want to do is I want to cook this for a little bit. I want the alcohol to evaporate. We don't want alcohol in the dish. We want just the flavor, right? So the alcohol's got to cook off. So just make sure you give it enough time. A few minutes or so, like 3 or 4 minutes. And all the alcohol will evaporate. So in order of how much meat we're putting in, primarily pork, that's gonna be the most of the minced meat we're putting in. So we're doing 2 pounds, obviously, like I said before, cut it in half, put 1 pound if you're cooking for just a few people. So we're gonna go straight in. And now this is after the wine is evaporated a little bit. Make sure if you got like some meat diaper in here, don't throw that in there like an idiot. Second is gonna be ground beef. Just so you know, when you go to the store and you get ground beef, don't do that ever. Get ground chuck. Ground beef can be head meat, whatever. Legally, ground chuck has to be ground chuck. Ground beef can be any part of the cow. That's not cool with me. Get ground chuck, it's much better. So ground chuck goes right in. Don't let that meat diaper get in there. And then we're gonna go in with the veal. So that's 1.5 pounds of beef, and now we're doing 1 pound of veal. Okay, so now we need to mix this around, break the meat up. There's a lot in here, so we gotta get that wrist action going. Okay, so the whole idea is we gotta get this to be browned a little bit. There's also going to be a lot of fat and a lot of like oil moisture coming off the meat. We need to let that reduce. So don't cover it. Really don't cover this at all while you're cooking. Make sure, come over here and take a look at this, Gene. See this little pool of liquid right here? We need to wait till this liquid reduces to almost nothing, to where there's almost no excess liquid in here. And that's when we're going to add the 2nd cup of red wine. So now this is the point. A lot of the fat, a lot of the juices have kind of cooked off. So we're gonna add another cup of red wine. And you can see my fat ass is sweating right now because it's so hot over this thing. And same thing again. We're gonna have to let this cook off the alcohol again, as we do not want the alcohol and we just want the flavor. Okay, so the next thing we're putting in passata. Get these out of the jar. Don't do the canned stuff. This is much better. You can find this at any European grocery store. So we're going to go with 24 ounces we're adding in. And I got a second one, another 24 ounces. Remember, I'm making a hell of a lot. So 24 ounces, 24 ounces. And then San Marzano peeled tomatoes. This is another 24 ounces. So remember, I'm making quite a bit of sauce here. And this is gonna reduce down. These peeled tomatoes, you wanna crush them up. You have the peeled tomatoes, you have the passata, and then in just a moment, we're gonna be adding the tomato paste. All right, so 2 of these, which is 12 ounces, a full 12 ounces of tomato paste. And now what we do is a little bit of water, Okay, make sure we get all of the tomato sauce in there. And now we are going to simmer this for quite a long time. We'll add a little bit of salt. And we're gonna add some pepper. Now we're most likely gonna have to add a lot more salt and a lot more pepper to taste later on, but as it reduces, if you put too much salt at the beginning, it gets too salty as the sauce reduces. And these are 3 different tomato consistencies. They're also 3 different flavor profiles. You're gonna notice that the paste is gonna have a little bit more like a sour taste to it. You know, there's like sweet tomatoes or sour tomato. There's gonna be a few different things at work here, and that's why we're using multiple different tomato products. You couldn't find a pasta sauce this good in any jar in a grocery store. Okay, so now the sauce is reduced. It's been about 3.5 hours, and now we're gonna start on the pasta. So I got some boiling water here. All right, now generously salt your water. And typically I make homemade pasta. That'll take about 3-4 minutes to cook. If you have box pasta, it'll take somewhere between 9 and 11 minutes. The thing is, you want to pull the pasta out a little bit before it's totally cooked. That's what they call al dente. And then what we're gonna do is finish the pasta in the sauce so that the sauce kind of absorbs into the pasta. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna take our pasta and drop it in the boiling water. This is pappardelle, so this is basically just like it's a wide fettuccine, okay? This holds the meat sauce way better than a spaghetti does. So now that the sauce is reduced, we're gonna add about a cup of whole milk. And we're gonna let that cook for about 5 more minutes. Then I'm gonna add a nice rich creaminess to the sauce. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna take a ladle and spread our Bolognese. And look how beautiful that looks. All right. Now we're gonna put it over some heat, about medium heat, right? And now what we wanna do is we wanna take our pappardelle and go right into here. Now don't worry about straining it because we want the pasta water in the sauce. And the reason for that is you have something with egg and flour that's been sitting in some water. Now that pasta water is seasoned with some salt and it is full. And I'm talking about it's full of starch. Now that starch from the pasta water is going to help make a creamy sauce because of all the starch in the pasta. Now what we're gonna do here is this ladle, I'm gonna take, see this? And we're gonna take some of that pasta water and we're gonna put it in there, okay? And then what we're gonna do, take another ladle of the sauce And that undercooked pasta, that al dente pasta, is now going to finish in the sauce. I got some Parmigiano Reggiano. Look at that. It's gorgeous. Oof. That flavor. It's so deep, it's so rich. From the red wine to the sofrito with the celery, onions, and carrots. The mixture of the pork, the beef, and the veal. The multiple different tomato products. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. That's why I make extra, because this will literally get eaten all week. All right, I'll get out of here. I'm gonna finish this.